Welcome to online lectures by CA Studies. For more lectures online, please do visit castudies.lk.
Now we are going into private owned entities. So as the name suggests, these are the organizations owned privately, right, by individuals. Okay, so here there are different types of structures in the organization. Okay, so first one is, so all of this public sector is done, so we are now, everything below is will be about private sectors. So the different types is sole proprietorship, and then partnerships, and then we have limited liability companies, and under limited liability company there are two types, private and public listed. Okay, so let me explain why there are these kind of, why there are four categories of organization. So if we go back to the basics, we take a step back and see an example that we started with the construction earlier. Sole proprietorship is just one person doing the business, right? So while this one person is doing the business, the business after some time has to grow, because if he is continuously doing this business, he will start to get specialization in what he is doing. So over a period of time, a need for expansion of business will be required. The business has to grow. So that is where he pull another set of people. Say 2 more people coming, and these people put their own resources. They put capital or bring machineries and everything, right? So these 3 people together form a partnership. Right? So 3 people in at the moment, we assume, right? And then the business keeps on growing, because now we have specialization, knowledge and the skills of 3 different people. And after some time, the business grows on even bigger and bigger, right? So then the best option, or the another option that they have, is to go for a company which has limited liability. I will explain what is limited liability in a while. And then as they expand, they can list their organization, list their company for public shares. That's where they become a PLC in Sri Lanka, right? So more and more as the organization grows, the complexity of the organization also grows. The capacity of the organization also grows. So that is where a sole proprietorship organization cannot keep up with all those complications, because it will be just one person. The capital requirements increases. So that is why it pulls up people and forms a partnership. It gets more people, gets more capital, get more resources. And then as the organization grow more and more, it will need to have some legal statuses, and it will need to limit its liabilities from the owners and the business. The concept will be explained. So that is where companies come into play. And when companies then, as a limited liability, private limited companies, they grow and grow more and more, they need more capital, and that is where they list the company and they will be collecting more capital. Listing would be done through Colombo Stock Exchange in Sri Lanka, right? Okay, so that is how the expansion of the companies goes on. Okay, so in our syllabus we will be mainly focusing on the companies. So but for you to have a basic understanding of the companies, I gave a brief idea of what sole proprietorship and partnership is. So these are just sole proprietorship, as the name suggests, is an entity owned by just one person, right? And partnership will be owned by a set of people. Okay. And now I will explain what limited liability is, because limited liability is what separates, or one of the key difference from sole proprietorship, partnership to limited companies. So limited liabilities is where owners of the organization or the investors or shareholders, their liability is limited to their investment. Okay, for example, if we take an organization, if we take a sole proprietorship or a partnership, both as one. Okay, so this business is operating in their environment, and for example, say they have pulled capital, or capital amounting to, capital could be machines or whatever, they have brought in 50 million rupees, right? And the organization, as it grows, could take credit from their suppliers, and they obtain loans from the banks as borrowings. So it has suppliers, they have to pay say 40 million, and to banks they have obtained a bigger loan for the expansion of the business, another 50 million, right? So if in any case the company goes bankrupt, or if the owners are to wind up the company, owners are responsible to pay 90 million. Even though the capital that they have invested is only 50 million, they are liable to pay 90 million rupees to the related parties, because here there is no legal separation of the owners from the entity, because the entity is the owners and owners are the entity, right? So in a sole proprietorship, the owner will be the entity. He will be liable for whatever the losses the business might occur. And in addition to this, let's say a company is facing a fine from an organization, or it has to pay for a court settlement because of something that went wrong with what the organization produced. 100 million fine. So here, whether the owner of the organization likes it or not, whether he can do or cannot do, he is liable to this 100 million and plus this 90 million, which will go to 190 million. So in this case, the liability of the owners is 190 million. It is never ever limited only to the capital that they have invested. So if the organization goes in the worst side, they will have to face unlimited liability. The banks will come after, not the organization. This organization is say ABC organization. They will not go after ABC, they will go after these individuals, right? Because they are the owners of the entity, and because sole proprietorship and partnership doesn't have a legal status, the owners are the one who are liable for whatever the amount the organization is liable to, right? So that is why we say unlimited liability. The liability is not limited to the capital, it could go up to any amount. Whereas on the other hand, in a limited liability company, the liability of the owners or the investors, shareholders of the company is limited to what they have invested. So in this case, if we say they have invested 50 million to the organization, we have owners here and the organization XYZ company here. Okay, so owners pulled in 50 million to the organization, and the same amounts, if we take, the same organization has to pay to their suppliers 40 million rupees and to the bank 50 million, and they also have a fine of 90 million, which comes up to 190 million. But in this case, the liability of the owners of the entity will be limited just 50 million. The rest of the 140 million or the entire amount is the liability of the organization. This 190 million has to be paid by XYZ company or the organization and not the owners. So owners, whatever happens to the company, they are liable only to whatever the amount that they have invested. So that is why we call them limited liability companies. The liability is limited to whatever the capital or the amount that the owners have invested in, right? So that is the difference between limited liability and unlimited liability. So sole proprietorship and partnership, that is all what we need to know in basics, very basics. And the syllabus mainly focuses on to talk about companies, right? So we will talk a little more in detail about companies. So key characteristics of a company. What are the key characteristics of a company? Right? Number one is owned by shareholders. Shareholders. So the companies, the administrating part or the company's capital or company will be divided among its shareholders. So if we say 10% shares of the company, that means he owns 10% of the company, right? So company is owned by shareholders and managed by directors. So this, of course, as you move on with the next level subjects in auditing and when you learn business governance, you will be learning about what are the requirements for a public private limited company and a public limited company. What is the minimum number of directors that should be there? What is independent and non-independent directors, executive, non-executive directors? All will be learned in your future syllabuses, right? So all what you need to do at this point is it is managed by directors. And I'll briefly explain what is or who is executive directors and non-executive directors. So executive directors, as the name or the word suggests, is the directors who are involved in the day-to-day operations of the business and are involved in the mostly involved in managing the entity, right? And non-executive directors are the directors who are functioning in advisory capacity because they have they could be experts in the areas, right? So the executive directors are the directors who are involved in the day-to-day decision making process of the organization, whereas non-executive directors are the directors who works in advisory capacity and they are there for their specialization in the business sector, right? So that is what a key characteristics of a company. So company is owned by shareholders, managed by directors, and directors, we have two types: executive directors who are involved in day-to-day operations of the entity, and non-executive directors who are working in advisory capacity and who generally are experts in the area that they are involved in, right? So that is all about limited liability companies, which is coming here. Now we will learn about the difference between a private limited company and a public listed company, right? So here again, limited liability company is under two categories: private and public listed, right? So the main difference in private limited companies is it is generally owned by a set of people or set of individuals, not open to everybody. Not everyone can invest in the company. So here, as per the Companies Act, the number of shareholders could be only 1 to 50 shareholders. And if it is more than 50 shareholders, the organizations can generally list in the Colombo Stock Exchange, which in turn they will have unlimited number of shareholders. Right? And the second key difference is the shares are rarely transferred. So even if we say there are 50 shareholders in the organization, it's very unusual for these 50 shareholders to transfer their shares to a different person. I have the shares of this private limited companies today, tomorrow I will sell it. There are limitations in it, and it happens rarely. Whereas in a public listed company, shares are transferred easily. Right? And the transfer is done in a stock market. Right? So they can buy the shares today, sell the shares tomorrow, and they can buy different shares on the next day. So shares are transferred freely in the market. And the next difference is, here in a private limited company, there should be minimum of one director. Minimum. Whereas for a public listed company, there should be 2 directors. And this one is funded by limited people, limited number of investors, or could be the founder, could be one person or family who is funding. Whereas here, funded by public through stocks, right? So in legal point of view, there are, in addition to these, there are a lot of differences when it comes to what a private organization and public listed companies are, which you will be learning in your future levels, right? In corporate governance. So here we simply say there should be 1 minimum directors for the private limited companies, whereas for public limited there should be 2. But in private public listed companies, it goes into detail to explain how many number of independent shareholders, independent directors should be there, how many executive and non-executive directors should be there, what are the boards that should be there, what are the committees that should be there, and the reporting of those PLCs to the Colombo Stock Exchange. There are a lot of difference between private limited and public limited. So these are the basic differences that are given in the study pack, which I have explained. So here private 1 to 50 shareholders, whereas in public there will be unlimited number of shareholders. Shares are rarely transferred through stock market every day or anytime. It's very flexible to transfer. And here, one director minimum, whereas here two directors are minimum. This is funded by limited number of investors, or the founder will be funding it, whereas in a public listed company, the funding is done through the stocks, right? So that is the main difference between a private limited company and a public limited company. And if you would like to take notes, your time, right? So then I will move on with the advantages and disadvantages of a limited liability company, right? So here in this syllabus we haven't looked in detail the advantages and disadvantages of sole proprietorship or partnership, but we'll be looking at the advantages and disadvantages of companies, right? So here we can look at advantages and disadvantages, right? So generally there's a lot of advantages for a company over sole proprietorship and partnership. So number one is, as I explained to you earlier, limited liability, and which in turn is reduced risk for investors. Then we have more investments coming in. Separate legal entity. We will discuss this. And if it is listed, unlimited shareholders. And generally companies, on comparing to sole proprietorship and partnership, are legally regulated. Because it's regulated, we can say these organizations would be more formal, will have processes, systems compared to sole proprietorships and partnerships. Okay. And what are the disadvantages of this? Number one is this legal regulations again comes as a disadvantage, right? Because it involves legal procedures. So we can basically say legal cost. So these companies has to do annual audits. And the registration process takes time or takes some effort and needs some knowledge, and they have to submit annual returns. They have to keep their own secretaries. They have to hire a secretary, and like so and so. There are a lot of legal cost which is involved, and the shareholders have limited power. So in a big scale, say a public listed company or PLC, shareholders power will be limited mostly to voting when it comes to major decision. So the organizations will be managed by the board of directors. The directors will be doing their day-to-day operational function, whereas shareholders, even though they have put their money in, their power will be limited just for voting, right? And let's discuss on the advantages a little bit. Limited liability I've discussed earlier. More investment because the number of shareholders are increasing. Separate legal entity. So as I told about the limited liability, the organization here, it's different. It's a different legal person in front of the law. So for example, XYZ company or as a legal case, the legal case won't be registered on the name of the owners of the entity, it will be registered on the name of the organization. Whatever the fine or whatever the effect comes, the owners are not, the name of the owners won't be sued, the organization will be sued. So whatever the case, or basically in the legal point of view, the company is a person, just like an individual, just like a normal person. It has a name, it has a legal structure, it has its status, organizational structures and everything. And listed, if it is a listed company, it could have unlimited shareholders, whereby it will have it can have raised as more capital as it wants when the organization wants to expand. And it has legal regulation which in turn make the organizations more formal, which will have processes, systems and everything which will support the organization to effectively go towards its objective. As the disadvantages is just the legal cost and shareholders have limited power. So these in turn, these are the, on the other hand, disadvantages of sole proprietorship and partnership, right? So even though we didn't explain, or that is not covered in the syllabus in detail, you can understand based on this what are the disadvantages of sole proprietorship and partnership. So disadvantages of sole proprietorship and partnership is just the opposite of this. They have unlimited liability and be difficult for them to get investments coming into the business. It's not a separate legal entity. If the organization does something wrong, the owners of the organization are responsible for the act of the organization, and limited number of shareholders, so it will be very limited to the owners, and legal regulations are not there, and the organizations won't be very much formal. There won't be much processes, or there won't be much systems, because there is no requirement for the organization, so they can function the way they want, which in turn might lead to inefficiencies, right? And the disadvantages of a company are the advantages of sole proprietorships and partnership. So less legal procedures. You want to start a sole proprietorship, you can just start it. There's no much legal registration process. You don't need audit for a individual organization. Even for partnership, if it is small, and you don't need to do like annual returns, so it's not a must to have secretaries. So the legal point of view, forming a sole proprietorship or partnership is comparatively or relatively very easy compared to a company, and the shareholders have all the power. So in a sole proprietorship, it will be mostly managed by the owner. So owner will be having absolute control over the business. So that is the advantages and disadvantages of companies. And we will move on to the NGOs, right? NGOs and cooperative societies. So I hope you understood the ownership classification of business organization based on ownership. There is public and private. Under public, we discuss what are the kinds of public organization, and private, there was sole proprietorship, partnership and limited liability companies. Companies has two, private limited companies and public listed companies, and we discuss key characteristics of a company and the advantages and disadvantages of the company. And now we are moving on to two small types of organization, which is non-governmental organizations, NGOs, and cooperative societies. So if you want to take notes, yes. So now these are just two small areas. What is NGO and what is cooperative societies? NGOs here and cooperative societies. Okay. NGO, the main difference as main characteristics as the name suggests, it's non-governmental organization. It's owned by individuals or group of individuals, right? So privately owned with non-commercial purposes. So as you know, a company or a proprietorship or partnership mostly are involved in business. They want to convert inputs to outputs and want to end up with profit. That is the main objective, that is maximizing the shareholders' value in a business organization. But non-governmental organization, the main objective is focused on non-commercial purpose. So that is one of the key characteristics of an NGO. So number one is privately owned, and non-commercial purpose. Right? And these kind of NGOs are generally funded by donations, grants, and in terms of labor, volunteering. Right? So NGOs are organizations which, in general, type of NGO that we know is charities, like organizations which are doing charities, helping the poor or educating the poor. So those kind of organization, we can relate to this, owned by private and non-commercial purpose. They are not operating to make profit. They are operating with the objective of providing some service to the society, and they are funded by donations, grants which might be given by the government or some other organization, and volunteering. So volunteering, when it comes to labor or when it comes to getting their work done, people volunteer and can do their work. Could be organizations like Lions Club, it's a good example. Like they are one of the biggest NGO which provide social services, right? And cooperative societies are businesses owned by their workers and customers. Owned by workers and customers who share the profit or the return of the organization. Here it has open membership, democracy, right? I will take an example to explain this concept so it will be understood easier. One example is cooperative employee societies. So these societies will be owned by the workers or the customers who share the returns from the society. And open membership, as in anyone who is an employee or who belongs to that particular part which the cooperative society is aiming to serve to, they can be a member. There can't be any limitations as to only if they are part of this organization, and this part is what the cooperative society is serving for, they can be a member of the society. And democracy, that is one person equal to one vote, right? So this concept of voting is there in private limited companies as well, even in public listed companies. So we say shareholders have voting powers, and here we say democracy. The only difference here is there, if one shareholder has 10% of shares, his vote comes to 10% of the decision making, whereas here democracy means every single person has one vote. So one person equal to one vote. That is with cooperative society. So quickly summarizing NGOs and cooperative societies. NGOs are privately owned entities with non-commercial purpose, funded by donation grants and volunteering. Cooperative societies owned by workers and customers who share the profit, open membership and democracy, that is one person, one vote.
Thank you for watching the video. Stay tuned with castudies.lk for more lectures online.